I was reflecting a little bit tonight on, what if beauty isn't something that we seek, but something that we see? Like often we seek something, we look for something. It could be beauty, it could also be peace. I'm seeking for a peace of mind. But what is the difference between seeking and seeing when we see something deeper? Now we're going to be exploring with you today, both through sharing. We want to do a little bit of experimentation with you, and also we'll give time to do some questions and answers. But our first question to you actually is, we want you to take just a couple of minutes right now, just wherever you are, and look for beauty.
You can walk around if you want to. You don't have to stay in your seats.
You can look out the window, you can have your eyes open, you can have them closed, because beauty is also within, of course.
And as you look for beauty, just become aware of what it does to you. As you find beauty, become aware of what it does to you. What happens inside you?
Interesting that you took the time to see it, you saw the beauty, and you were filled with gratitude.
Yeah.
Gratitude comes as an effect of seeing beauty, very naturally. Many people think gratitude is something to seek. I have to write a gratitude notebook, or I have to be grateful. And what are my 3 things I'm grateful for? And there's nothing wrong with that at all. But notice how gratitude can come naturally. This morning I was driving. I was driving about an hour away from where I live, and I was gonna teach 20 what's it called, dentists, about 3 principles. And I drove across the countryside. I took the long route there, and it was morning, it's spring, sun, the buds just opening up. I live in the countryside. I drove past some lakes. I was so full of gratitude. There was so much beauty around me that I was so in love with life. And isn't that an amazing way to show up? To work, to your family, to anywhere. And there's times where I've been driving the same route, but I did not see any beauty. Why? Because I was caught up in my thinking, concerned about something, ruminating about something, exactly the same route. Everything could be exactly the same, but I did not notice it. It's not the actual beauty there that makes us see it. It's when we are, like you said, Karen, giving ourselves the space, the time, when we're free of the thinking that becomes like putting really dark sunglasses on and not really seeing the lightness, the sparkle on the lake that I was looking on, the sparkle from the light that comes through the green and the flowers.
Well, I have been taking walks. I have been taking walks the last few days. And because I have been thinking and reflecting on beauty, that is exactly what life has been showing me. And I have seen a child learning to walk, and the smile on her mother's face taking a video. And I watched a little boy following a butterfly. And I watched a tiny little baby screaming his lungs out, and the mother trying her best to calm him down, and hugging him and kissing him and taking care of him with such tenderness, with such care. And I have been watching the seagulls flying outside my window, and the contrast of their white bellies and the lower part of their wings against the blue sky. And I have been observing people playing in the sea, on the waves, running, using their bodies, moving so graciously and so ungraciously at times, you know, just smashing themselves against the waves. And beauty is everywhere. And I love the fact that, as Natasha once was saying, when you don't have to search for something, when you can just choose to see it, and then you see it just because you chose to, then it's because it's true. As Sid Banks said, truth is everywhere. And beauty is everywhere. Even in the most horrific scenes that we can imagine, there is beauty. My brother asked me this morning, "What did you dream last night?" I told him, I dreamt that I was stopped by the police because I was drunk driving, and I was held in a cell with a ton of people that were there because of the same reason. And because we were all so bored, but very happy, we organized a chorus and we started singing together. And it was so beautiful. There was such a beautiful feeling when I woke up from that dream. I mean, I know it's ridiculous, but can you imagine that possibility, you know, being caught up in jail because you were caught drunk driving, and then organizing a chorus amongst all people? And there is such beauty everywhere, in everything. There is a poet that talks about the conversational nature of life. And when you start reading about it and you start understanding a little bit of what he says, it shows you beyond a shadow of a doubt that how you adjust your eyes, how you adjust your mind, is incredibly significant on what you get back. So if I go out for a walk looking for beauty, I will find beauty, like you just did for 2 minutes, right? And you had a beautiful experience for 2 minutes. Now, if I ask you to close your eyes and think about something horrible that is happening in the world, you'll find it also, and you'll have a horrendous experience probably. But you have to think about it. It's not everywhere. It's not part of that truth that is everywhere. There is a wonderful book by a woman, Horowitz, and the book is called On Walking. And she talks about walking around the block in her house in New York. And she takes a walk with her dog, and suddenly she realizes that her dog is having a completely different experience than she is walking around the block, which of course makes sense, right? Like, who would have the same experience as a dog? But then she takes a walk around the block with her 2-year-old kid, and she realizes what a different experience a 2-year-old kid is having from her. And she starts noticing what he's noticing. And so she decides to make this experiment, and she has 11 walks around the blocks with different characters. So an architect and an artist and a historian and a blind woman. And she starts seeing, you know, like, how do people relate to space? How do people relate to reality? How do people relate to what is actually there? And it all has to do with the eyes they are bringing to the equation. That's it. That's all there is to it. The eyes you are bringing to the equation. And when I think about beauty, I keep coming back to that movie. I don't know if you guys saw it at some point, but if you didn't, go and see it. That movie is called Collateral Beauty. Do you guys remember that movie? It's a fantastic movie. And it talks about precisely that. No matter what is happening, don't miss the collateral beauty. No matter how harsh the circumstances, don't miss the collateral beauty. It's there. And if you train your eyes to focus on that beauty, your soul will be fed calmness and bliss and delight and gratitude and recognition and peace and joy and tenderness. And isn't that what we all want? If you could have a life filled with that, wouldn't that be enough? Imagine like that last day of your life, looking back and saying, oh my God, every day was filled with wonder and awe and excitement and gratitude and recognition and everything we just spoke about. Wouldn't that be enough?
I love what you said about what eyes do you bring? Like what have you noticed that since getting interested in the 3 principles that you see more beauty? How many of you have noticed that? It's great. That's amazing. And why is that? Why? Why is it that we start getting interested in this understanding? You see, you wouldn't be able to see beauty if it wasn't because of the 3 principles. They bring our senses to life. It's what allows us to be in life, to see life, to feel life, to touch, taste life. And that when we don't have a lot on our minds, which is one of the natural consequences of looking in this direction, less and less of the time we're filled with thoughts. It might still come a thought storm, but if you're sensing that it's less than it was before, you turned into this direction, then you're moving in the right direction. And one of the ways that you're seeing it is noticing beauty more. Another way that most people that I talk to explain the ways in which their life is changing is that there's more peace in their life. They notice a longing for just silence, a longing to go to bed earlier or get up earlier, or not turning on the radio, not turning on the television. Have you noticed that too? How many of you have noticed that you seek more quiet, right? Me too. I so enjoy the quiet. I love waking up in the morning and I can hear the birds. I have my cup of coffee with my husband and just birds. At no point during the day do I feel a need to turn on a television or a radio. And that's very different from how it was for me before I met the principles. I would get up in the morning, okay, turn on the latest news, breaking. And now I'm like, oh. And it's not because I don't care about the world. On the contrary, some of the work that Marina and I do with our colleagues here at the 3PGC is to bring attention to truth. And I love what Sydney Banks said. That's really resonated a lot with me when I heard him say that you can do as much for the world by sitting at home in your garden drinking a cup of tea as traveling around talking about these principles. There's something about knowing that we're one. What does that mean? Well, that means that whenever I'm at peace, whenever I am in a beautiful feeling, that is what I'm giving to the world. That is what I am putting into all of us. So it's not about being selfish. On the contrary, it's about knowing that we are one and that my happiness is your happiness. My peace is your peace.
That's what you're bringing to the table.
That's what I'm bringing to the table. Isn't that amazing that we don't all have to travel around the world? I mean, me and Marina, we travel around the world all the time, speaking to people about that because we're drawn to do that. But when I'm not, when I'm at home, oh, I love the quiet. I love just sitting, listening to the birds. It's a beautiful song. Or nothing.
We are talking today about, we're talking about beauty, and that's amazing enough and beautiful enough and calming enough. But why do we talk about beauty as a transformational path? And that is what Natasha is pointing to right now. So when Sid points to the fact that all you need to do is point yourself in a direction, find a beautiful feeling, and let it guide you. And earlier today, when we gave you 2 minutes to find beauty, somehow you all managed to find a beautiful feeling in under 2 minutes. Yes? How difficult was that? You all managed to find gratitude and appreciation in under 2 minutes. How easy was that? So seeing beauty requires presence, requires willingness and openness. And that openness and willingness immediately brings us to appreciation of what is. Now, what Natasha was saying earlier, like gratitude as a chore, as something you have to do, like you be grateful. You make sure you find, like, I remember many years ago when I was young, I imposed a rule on myself, which was, if you have not lost your breath to something today 3 times, you cannot go to bed. So I would get to bed and I would think, okay, what were the 3 things that took my breath away today? And if I couldn't think of 3, I would get up and find them. Now, that's a lot of to do. That's a lot of work, believe me. Sometimes when you're exhausted and it's 2 a.m. and you just put your kids to bed and you have to get up and find things, it's just exhausting. No. Like Natasha said, gratitude is a natural consequence of having seen something. Now, there is nothing grand that needs to be seen. The kid learning to walk, or the other kid following the butterfly, or the seagull outside my window, or the contrast of the clouds with the light. That's enough. But then it's the consequence of having seen something. And here's the trick. Transformation is also the natural consequence of having seen something. It's not something you can do. You see? It's not something you can impose on yourself. Oh, I am going to will myself into fill in the blank. No. Now, here's the thing. Transformation is a natural consequence of having seen truth. So what we call insights is just a glimpse of truth. And as a consequence of that glimpse of truth, by grace, we get transformed. It also requires presence. It also requires willingness. It also requires openness. There's a surrendering in it. I surrender my old self in exchange for my new self. When we become present and we choose beauty, we are surrendering our thinking in exchange for presence and beauty. And because you are surrendering, and because you are present, and because you are open and willing, you are seeing a glimpse of truth. And if you stick to that feeling and you let it guide you, then as Sid said, wisdom must come. It must show up. And so transformation must come. It must follow. There are very few things as simple as beauty, as easy to find as beauty around us. Because it's everywhere, like Natasha said. You can close your eyes and find beauty. Can you? Can you close your eyes and find beauty? Can you look in the mirror and find beauty? So if you can, then you have work to do.
It also points, Marina, I'm sorry.
No, don't go for it.
Well, it's just, it points to the only way you don't see beauty when you're looking in the mirror is what you think. Like, what is the only thing that can ever get in the way of seeing beauty is what we think, is being in our head. I've noticed something that is also coming up as a theme here. Do you notice that we talk about beauty and truth and love? What is it that these three, I was going to say things, they're not things, there's something they have in common. So I'd love to do a little experiment with you right now. Think of someone you love, whether it's your children, whether it's your dog or your cat, whether it's a good friend, family member. Just think of someone you love, and in yourself answer the question, how do you know it? Like, do I love Marina because she's this tall, she's the same height as me and she's got beautiful brown eyes? No, that's not why I love Marina. It's different. It's not because of any physical attributes. It's not because of anything that she does. I know it. Can you all sense the sense of knowing love? You just know it. You don't have to make a Excel a spreadsheet to figure out why you love someone. The ones you love, you just know it, don't you? Now
Yes,
think
yes.
about
But if you have to justify it, then it's not love.
exactly. Now think about beauty. Anything you saw before that you found beautiful, how do you know it? Do I look at the beautiful flowers behind me? Oh, it's because the red ratio to the green, or the head of the tulip is this size. No, I just find them beautiful. I know it. Can you get a sense of beauty as being a knowing? Again, it's not something that you can quantify or qualify. You just know it. And truth. When you came to this understanding, was there something that resonated within you that you just felt true? Is that why you've stuck around? Because there's something that keeps calling you? Something that seems true still? You see, knowing something is different than knowing something, than knowledge, this kind of knowledge. There's a knowing. And one of the path of transformation that we're all on as we're looking in the direction of the three principles is that we're following something that's a knowing. How many of you have people around you saying, what are the three principles? Why are you going? Why are you going to all these webinars and seminars? And you're going, blah, 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 it's because blah, blah, blah. It's difficult to speak about, but you have a knowing, don't you? There's something in you that knows that there's something here for me. There's a transformation of your life that happens. It might be a big thing all at once. It might be tiny incremental shifts, but transformation is happening. Almost like magic. It did for me. I wasn't one of these people who had like boom, and then I saw a lot. I was one that I just started noticing that my anger towards my mother started just dissipating. I noticed that people, friends who I used to be so annoyed with, I wasn't annoyed with them anymore. I noticed things falling away. And with the falling away, my mind was getting more peaceful. And with my mind more peaceful, I was seeing more beauty. I was noticing more peace in myself. I was seeing more innocence in myself and in others. So looking in this direction, going towards what we know is very different than almost any kind of direction you can go where they will give you knowledge. You know, read this curriculum. We will teach you stuff. We don't want to teach you anything. We can't. All we can do is share what we've seen. All we can do is point in a direction. And truth, beauty, and love is a direction that we can all become more aware of. And the way we know we're looking in this direction is the knowing of it, which is so different than the thinking, feeling that we can get. And so it's built into us, this navigation system. Is it something that I know, like from within? Or is it something that I'm knowing, like with this one? I was speaking to a new client earlier today, and she was very caught up in her thinking and you know, lots of thoughts and lots of depression and lots of confusion. And I said, do you have children? And she said, yeah, I have a 12-year-old daughter. And I said, do you love her? I said, yeah. How do you know that? She said, well, I just do. Well, how does that feel? And she went into that feeling, and immediately more joy, more peace. And then we started talking about how the difference between what you know, the feeling of knowing, and how she was so confused a lot of the time, how different they were. So it's a navigation system. Who told us that? No one told me. Isn't it beautiful? It's built into us. That is real beauty. It's in our system to know. That is why Sydney Banks continued to say, look for a feeling. The feeling of beauty, the feeling of peace. It's a knowing. It's a feeling. And that's what guides us towards the transformation that must happen. It must, when you're looking in that direction. So we're not teaching you anything. We're simply pointing in a direction that you can look for yourself and see how your life will transform more and more.
The last thing that I want to say before we open up a space for you guys to share what you are seeing is that one of my favorite things about beauty is that there is no point to it. Like, it has no goal. You know, you're listening to a song that you enjoy. It's not about getting anywhere. It's not like you're trying to get to the end of the song so that, oh, now it's over now, right? Like it's just happening. It's just, you're just taking it in. You're just taking it in. Why? Because of what it does to you. And I remember when, in the middle of the war, they told Winston Churchill that they needed to, you know, cut back on the spending on arts and music and art schools and all these things, and he refused. He said no. They said no, these are the things that we can allow ourselves to, you know, just cut the spending on. And he said no, because then what are we fighting for? You see do you see the profound sense of wisdom in that? What are we fighting for, if not for this? If not for what art gives us, if not for what beauty gives us, if not for... That's what we're here for. What if that was all that we're here for? Just that. And that is enough. Whenever I cannot see beauty, I know that it's on me. I remember words I heard once. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. You just can't see it yet. But you will. Just keep at it.